Hello YouTube and welcome to Hearthstone. In this video I'm going to be drafting a brand new arena deck that I'm going to be using throughout a series of videos. I'm going to be playing through this entire arena run, hopefully doing well, and we will see. So we have the mage, the priest, and the rogue as our choices. I'm going to be taking the mage since
Magic will
she
prevail.
is still, in my opinion, the best hero you can get. We have some really weird starting cards here. The Ancient Watcher and Alarmobot are pretty much useless, so we're going to go with the injured Blade Master. All right, another injured Blade Master. I'm not going to take him. So I'm probably going to go with the Goblin Blast Mage here. I don't have any mechs yet, but I have a long time to draft them. He can be really good. He's still a 5/4 for 4, which is decent. As good as the Blade Master, and the Soot Spewer is only good if you have spells, which I don't have any of either. So in this situation, I think the Blast Mage is the way to go. All right, so I have Duplicate, Cogmaster, and the Sorcerer's Apprentice. I think that the 3/2 with the effect is the best pick here. All right, so we got our first Fireball. That's an obvious choice there. This is another obvious Sorcerer's Apprentice. And I think between the Stormwind Champion and the Water Elemental, the Water Elemental is definitely better in most situations. Okay, so here we have a little bit of an interesting choice because the Loot Hoarder and the Lost Tile Strider are both decent cards. So the Loot Hoarder gives us a little bit of early game potential. You see a lot of mages, so the Loot Hoarder will likely not survive. Tall Strider is kind of the same boat though because he only has 4 health, and 4 health minions don't usually make it very long. And like we already have a much better 5/4. Um, than the Tall Starter as well. So both of them are like kind of situational. Neither of them are so good. I think I'm just going to take the Loot Hoarder just for early game, as Arena is a lot faster than it used to be. So I think the Loot Hoarder might make that better. Okay, so now we have a Flesh and Ghoul, an Acolyte of Pain, and Arcane Missiles. The Arcane Missiles, I mean, I pretty much can get them for free, same turn as Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is worth noting. But card draw might be useful. The Fleshing Ghoul, it's too early to pick him. If I did have a lot of low minions, he might be okay, but I don't think I could pick him in this situation. So it's between the Acolyte of Pain and the Arcane Missiles. Since I have a lot of situations where I can get Arcane Missiles free at the same turn as playing a minion, that could be really good to get early board control. But the Acolyte of Pain I can use with my hero power really well. It synergizes very well with that for card draw. So I think I'm going to take the Acolyte, despite not having all that many spells yet. And we get terrible cards! Oh man. So I almost never take Vaporize, but I think in this situation I'm taking Vaporize. I can be useful in some situations. A Light Warden, I mean, I don't have any heals. It's a 1/2, and a Murloc 1/2, and I don't have any of the Murlocs to synergize with that, and I don't have a heal, so neither of those have any synergy with what I have so far, and I probably won't get synergy with either of them either. Okay, so we've got Deathlord, a Matter, a Bomber, and Counterspell. I think that's got to be a Matter Bomber. Again, like the Blast Mage is very situational, and the Blast Mage only works well with mechs, which we don't have any of yet. But the Bomber is a little bit better. Also a 5/4, so very good. Better than what we have. Okay, so the dancing swords can really like get you in trouble because it can get easily killed and then your opponent gets a card, but it's just a card. Like it's one card and it does give you a lot of board control early because the 4/4 is very hard to remove on turn 3 or 4. And then you can get the Blackwing Technician. I don't have anything to synergize with it for the 1/1 buff. So it would basically be a 2/4 at all times. They're both 3 drops, so I mean it's just which is the better 3 drop. My three drops so far, I have one that's for fighting and one that's for utility. So I think, despite not being a big fan of dancing swords, I think I'm going to take them just because Blackwind's always going to be a 2/4. It's never going to be useful, um, or that useful, anyways. Okay, so we got Raging Worgen and Amity Berserker and Priestess of a Loon here. I think I'm going to take the Worgen. Again, synergizes with my health, with my hero power. Um, the Berserker also synergizes with my hero power, but the Worgen is 8 damage per turn, whereas the Berserker only gets 5. Um, so I think the Worgen is better. Okay, so we've got a Frost Ellie here. I think this is a pretty obvious Frost Ellie. You could take Cone of Cold if you had like a really good late game and you're trying to get there. It can just help you delay the game, but I think the Frost is better in this situation. I think the Annoyotron is pretty much the only thing I can pick here. The other two are really awful. All right, so here we got a Fairy Dragon, another Raging Worgen, and a Dancing Sword. So the Fairy Dragon, I think, is the best here. I could go with another Raging Worgen, but I think that the Fairy Dragon is better by a lot. Oh, and we got a legendary pick. I very rarely get legendary picks in Arena, so we've got Mechgineer, Thermoplug, and we've got Toshly, and we've got a Baron Rivendare. I'm not going to pick Baron Rivendare, so he's just out. Um, so the Toshly, you get 2 spare parts if you play him, pretty much. And whenever an enemy minion dies, summon a leper gnome for Thermoplug. I think, I honestly, it's kind of hard to pick between Toshly and Mechgineer. Um, I think that the Toshly is probably like better, but the Mechgineer is like huge. It's such a big minion. I feel like if you get to turn 9, but you have to be at turn 9, so I think Toshly gives us more options, more situations, so we'll take him. Alright, so we have a Senjin Shield Master, which is very nice, and a Puddle Stomper, which is also good, because 3/2, 2 drops, always good. Our 4 drops, we've got uh, 3 4 drops, so we don't have all that many. I think the Senjin. We don't have any taunts whatsoever except for a Noyatron. Okay, we got some rares here. Master Swordsmith, Pint-Sized Summoner, and Soot Spewer. What are we going to take? I don't have a lot of spells to synergize with Soot Spewer. Master Swordsmith is like, you have to keep him out there. He's kind of just like got a big target on his head though, so I guess there's that. If I got like a Noyatron out the same turn as Swordsmith, it could be useful. The Summoner is. I don't have anything that maybe on turn 3 I could play the Summoner and another 2-drop and get a little bit of board control out of it. It's really terrible to draw later though. The Soot Spewer could be more useful later in the game, but kind of meh early game. The Master Swordsmith is pretty much meh all around, so I mean he could be good if you get him like at the perfect time and no one can deal with him, but he's so easy to deal with. Um, I have like no spells, and I've drawn most of my deck already. I mean, I have 1 fireball. It's +1 damage on a fireball. That's it. This is a rough one. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. Okay, so let's just see what kind of like my mana curve for 2 and 3 is like exactly even. Um, I've got more good 2-drops, I think, than good 3-drops. So maybe we'll take the Soot Spewer. Okay, so we got the Zombie Chow, which, I mean, it's good board control, but you can't do any damage when you have it because it's going to heal it right back up. We've got the Stranglethorn, very good, very, very powerful. And we got an Iron Fur. So I think the Zombie Chow is probably the best card. for value, but the Stranglethorn Tiger, and I'm a mage, and I've got a fireball that's 11 damage I can do without them being able to pretty much do anything about it. So I think the Stranglethorn Tiger is the best as a mage. I mean, maybe the zombie is still the best, but I think that I like the Tiger better, just because I have one 5-drop. I have like nothing later in the game at this point. I've got like two sixes and a 5, and that's it. So I think bigger minion at this point. Another legendary drop. Wow. So we've got a slag. There's pretty much no point in picking him because I'm not gonna get Fugin as well. Lotheb, very very strong. Lotheb, and Millhouse Mana Storm, which is like a 2-drop with insane stuff, but then enemies' spells are all free. You know, you just give them a flame strike turn turn 2. um, so, I think Lotheb is a very strong pick, and that's 2 legendaries. I'm very happy with that. Ooh, Frostbolt. So I'm definitely taking Frostbolt. That's amazing. Okay, so I have an interesting pick again. So Fairy Dragon is a very, very strong card, but Mana Worm, you can play on turn 1 and can grow as you play it. So you play your Mana Worm, you throw your Frostbolt down, all of a sudden you have a 2/3, which is almost as good as your Fairy Dragon. And then next turn maybe you play Vaporize, and you've got a 3/3. It can keep growing on you. So it does have that potential. So it has 3 health, so it can get big pretty quick. So there's that potential with Mana Worm, and I really like Mana Worms. They're one of my favorite cards, especially when you get it turn 1 and you have a Mana Worm to put out. It always feels amazing. But Fairy Dragon, I think, is probably better. I think if you were going to do the math, I think you'd probably say the Fairy Dragon would be better. I have nothing for turn 1. Uh, Turn 2, I have a significant amount of cards. I've got 5 cards for turn 2. Oh, 6 cards for turn 2 already. And the Mana Worm can be useful later as well. Like if 5 mana, fireballing something, and I can throw the Mana Worm out and fireball, and I have a 2/3, and my fireball on the same turn. So it has some potential later. The Fairy Dragon it's good, but I mean the Mana Worm I think just is cheaper. I just think I want it because it's cheaper because I don't have any 1-drops, and it can kind of make a better fit in some mana curve situations. Okay, so we have Ice Barrier, pretty much not going to get Ice Barrier. We have Voodoo Doctor, again, not the greatest. It does restore 2 health. It's good because of that effect, but it's 2/1 for 1, and I don't really need a 1. And the Gurubashi can get big in the late game, and again, I think that my deck's rounded out a bit better now. But I think I like something mid to late game more. Okay, so we finally got a Flame Strike. We got to take that. We don't have one yet. All right, now we have a Core Hound, a Leper Gnome, and a Dancing Sword. So the Leper Gnome is a good card here. Um, we can get something small that we can play to just fit into those tiny holes in mana curves. It's just annoying to have to deal with. It doesn't have 1 health, so it's useless against mages pretty much, which we're going to see a lot of almost certainly. The Dancing Swords, I don't like it as a card, and I already have one, and I'm not really into giving my opponents draw. And the Core Hound, I mean, the Core Hound is it's something that's like, especially if I got like the right spare part in my hand and I got Core Hound, I just like stealth him and I have 9 damage coming out next turn. That could be real game changer. So the Core Hound does have potential despite not being a very popular or good card really, and costing way too much. It does actually have a little bit of potential. Let's see what I have that works with them. So I do have Toshli to get 2 spare parts. I'm wondering if I have anything else for spare parts I might have forgotten about. I don't think I do. Oh yeah, another reason why I picked, but you don't think I mentioned, why I picked the Soot Spewer is it did have a little bit of synergy with our, where was it? Our Goblin Blast Mage. Since we don't have that many mechs, we have 2 now. We have a Noyatron and a Soot Spewer. So I think that out of those drops, they're all kind of even. The Soot Spewer won out because it was a mech. All right, so I'm stuck on this. I'm gonna go with the leper. I think this. I'm a mage. I throw fireballs in your face. I mean, and you're gonna do a lot of damage. That can help. Okay, so I think the zombie is the best pick, but I always hate picking a zombie because I always feel like I have like to I can't do anything, especially if I get zombie out turn one and they don't get anything out. I'm like, well, I'm hitting two for your face and you're just gonna heal it right back as soon as you kill my zombie. The unstable ghoul um is interesting. You can put it out in some situations and really mess up a person's board. But I mean, and I'm a mage, so that basically means that if I leave things with one health after the unstable ghoul dies, they can still get killed next turn by me. So he can be good. And I have a lot of two drops though, and I mean I have one, two, three, four, five, six two drops, and I have two one drops. So like all of this is making my deck faster. It doesn't really matter. There's not a whole lot of difference between the two of them. I don't have any silence either to take out the zombie Cho's effect zombie Chow's effect. If I did have a good place to play him, I don't. I'm always gonna heal the other guys, so I think I'm gonna go with the unstable pool. Okay, so these are like some really good cards. Actually, these ones are all very useful. The Spectral Knight can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. Very good. The Frostwolf Warlord has an amazing battle cry for 5 mana as well. And this is especially good late game because late game maybe you have like two or three two drops that you have and you have no use for them. You throw them out and then your Frostwolf comes out and it's big. So it gets you a big minion for 5. So you could even throw out like a Loot Hoarder, a Fairy Dragon, a Leper Gnome, and a Frostwolf on turn 10, and you have like all of a sudden a huge minion 7/7 to deal with, as well as a full board of little guys. So very, very useful card. I think because I have so many 1, 2, 3 drops, I think I'm gonna go Frostwolf. I have very few spells and lots of minions, so I think the Frostwolf has the best synergy. And I don't like these. I don't like these one bit. So the Voodoo Doctor, maybe a little bit useful. The Razor Fin, not so useful. Just 3 drops. I have a lot of better 3 drops than that. Pretty much every 3 drop I have is better than that. The Ice Barrier is also pretty much every 3 drop I have is better than that. The Ice Barrier could be like good in some situations because it can keep you alive. The Voodoo as well can heal something that I really need to stay alive. Like my Gurubashi could get healed for 2, which could be great. I don't think I'm gonna really use the Ice Barrier though. I feel like the turn you waste playing your Ice Barrier, you're almost losing what the advantage you got off of the Ice Barrier would have been. It's 8 armor you're putting on, but you're not playing any minions. So they're going to just control the board and they're going to get 8 damage out of it eventually. So that is just not worth it, I don't think. It's too slow. Razor Fen, it's 3, so you end up with a 3/4 spread out over 2 minions for 3. Really bad because the mage can just take out the 1/1 almost every time you're going to be facing a mage. So again, the Voodoo Doctor is not so great by itself. It's just its battle cry might be useful, whereas the Razor Fence battle cry is going to get nuked almost certainly, and then you're with a 2/3 for 3, which is terrible. And a 1, you're going to end up with nothing for 1, but it's a 1-drop, and you get to restore 2 health guaranteed to yourself or to a minion. You can kind of choose what to. So I think the Voodoo. I feel like they're all bad, so I feel like there's no real right or wrong choice here. In this deck, when you have like pretty good mana curve, I think the 1-drop probably just fits better because neither of these are ever going to have a place to be played in this. Like all of these other cards are better than them, whereas the Voodoo Doctor situationally could be have potential. So we'll take the Voodoo. We'll take the Voodoo. Okay, so Mad Scientist, we actually do have a secret. Do we have just one? Yeah, I think we just have one. So we do have a secret. So Mad Scientist can bring out Vaporize. And the fact that it's a Mad Scientist bringing it out can kind of confuse your opponent as to what secret comes out because they don't know how many secrets you have in your deck or what kind of secrets you have in your deck. But I know if I have Mad Scientist and I don't have Vaporize in my hand, that's what I'm getting. Um, but then again, if I have Vaporize in my hand, Mad Scientist is all of a sudden useless. 2/2 for 2, that doesn't get me anything. The zombie is very good, but again, I feel like whenever you get him, you lose out on some potential. The raid leader is too expensive for a 2/2. His buff is okay, especially since I have a lot of small minions. It's just not big enough, and minions are having a hard time sticking on the board at this point in the game. So I'm I want to take the zombie. I think, yeah, I think the zombie's best, despite not liking the zombie very much because of its healing death rattle. I still gonna take him this time. Okay, and our last rare is a Kazan Mystic. We can take control of an enemy secret for 4. A questing adventurer, which could be good. We have 4 1-drops in here. So, I mean, you get him on turn 5 and you dump 2 out. You already have a 4/4 and 2 minions for 3. And a Gnomish Experimenter. I don't think I'm going to take him because I'm pretty much guaranteed to draw a minion. Like, they're all minions. I have, what, 2, 3 spells, I think. So it's pretty much all minions here. The Questing Adventure, I think the Kazan Mystic is like, it's kind of a weird card. I don't feel like it's very strong in Arena. It's a 4/3 for 4. You're paying too much for it. Its price of admission is too high, so I think Questing Adventure. Okay, so there we have our deck. Let's just take a quick look at it. We got a Leper Gnome, a Mana Worm, a Voodoo Doctor, a Zombie Chow, Frostbolt, a Noyatron, Fairy Dragon, Ludor, 2 Sorcerer's Apprentices with no spells, Unstable Ghoul, Vaporize, Acolyte of Bane, Dancing Swords, Injured Blade Master, Questing Adventurer, Raging Worgen, Soot Spewer, a Fireball, a Goblin Blast Mage with only 2 mechs, Senjin's Shieldmaster, Water Ellie, Frostwolf Warlord, Guru Bashi Berserker, Lotheb, amazing legendary pick, Matter Bomber, Stranglethorn, Frost Elemental, Toshli. I can't even believe I got 2 legendaries in such a terrible deck, and then a Flame Strike. So our only big anything is a Flame Strike. Other than that, we got nothing big. I had a chance to draw to pick some big things, but it was like, hopefully the game's over by then. Hopefully I don't have to ever play them. All right, so our deck does have good early mid game. It doesn't have the greatest because there's so many spells missing. Like we have nothing for spells. So I think this deck, I'm gonna say like 4 wins. 4 wins. I'm gonna say 4 wins. I think I can get 4 with it. I hope I can get 4 with it. It might be rough. All right, so if you liked this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.